southwest-northwest direction around 10 miles per hour, and lows will be in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, the southwest winds will continue at 15 to 25 gusts and 35 miles per hour, and under sunshine much of the day and some clouds towards evening, highs will reach into the upper 70s, and fire weather conditions will likely be elevated. There are some scattered chances for showers and storms in the evening and overnight across southwest Nebraska, and lows will be in the lower 40s. Wednesday, we could see some light wraparound morning rain showers across the entire area. Otherwise, it'll be cooler with highs in the low 70s. Lows will be around 40. This meteorologist Chris Romick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Not too often do you buy something when you have hair, and then it works just as good when you don't have any left. Well, that's what happens when you purchase a trusted American-made Valley Pivot from Western Sprinklers. Ever since the first Valley Pivot was made back in 1947, they have been the leader in precision irrigation, spanning across the globe, and they continue to get better over the years. Now with AgSense 365, they are putting the power of irrigation at your fingertips. Contact Western Sprinklers in Colby today about getting yourself a Valley Pivot that will stand the test of time.
Here's a bright idea. Make sure you put your pants on before leaving the house. Sure, it seems simple, but sometimes simple doesn't happen. At IdeaTech, we think it's simple to have real people who live in Kansas helping customers. We understand that not everyone in our industry agrees. Then again, not everyone puts on pants before they leave the house. We think it's important to get the simple things right. Putting our pants on and providing local customer service. Another bright idea from IdeaTech.
It's simple. Get IdeaTech fiber internet at ideatech.com.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
With kids, time passes so quickly. They need you for everything one day, and the next, they don't. Bye, Mom! So you hold on to those moments, and those yet to come. Capture life's memories with Viero, where new and renewing customers can activate a select unlimited line and get an iPhone 17 on us. So wherever your child goes in life, you're still right there through Viero.
Taxes and fees required. Additional restrictions may apply.
From drive-through banking to mobile deposit, we make it easy to get things done on your schedule. Banking should fit your life, not the other way around. This is Jessica Von Lintel at F&B Bank. Banking made simple.
In a small town, your banker should know more than just your account number. They should know your name. At F&B Bank, we believe in real conversations, friendly faces, and decisions made right here at home. I'm Paige Sneathen, Vice President at F&B Bank, and we're proud to serve your family like our own. Member FDIC.
Farmers, this time of year, your mind's on getting that crop planted. Long days, dusty fields, and hoping for a little rain at the right time. But Chuck at Wilkins Truck and Trailer in Goodland will tell you, planting season is also the best time to make sure your trucks are ready for harvest. Bringing your rigs down for a pre-harvest inspection so when the crop comes out of the field, you're ready to haul. And while you're there, ask about installing a manual or powered sure coat, trap, or tarp. It'll make harvest a whole lot faster and easier. So before harvest sneaks up on you, stop in and see Chuck and the boys at Wilkins Truck and Trailer on West Highway 24 in Goodland.
At NextTech Wireless, we built a network for Kansans by Kansans. But just because our roots are here, it doesn't mean your adventures have to be. Take that trip, explore new places, make new memories. You can count on reliable service every step of the way. Bring your number to us to get unlimited data plus a Samsung Galaxy S26 for as low as $25 a month. NextTech Wireless, connecting Kansans for 20 years, wherever life takes you.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
I'm old, I'm white, and I don't understand any of it.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Sky is everywhere.
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work. First pitch to Carter Jensen, and he clocks it high in the air, deep to right field, headed for the seats, and gone! A ferocious fuchsia swing! Carter Jensen's first home run at home this season.
Pioneer fans on their feet with one last rush, rifled ahead, looking for the tip. It's down into the Denver zone. Hits out to Plant at the end board, throws it up the wall with one last effort. It's over. It's a Denver dynasty. Denver rallies to win it 2-1, and the Pioneers with their third championship in 5 seasons.
Bodie Ray tried to slam the door, lifted in the air to right field. Box sprinting in, has room, reaches back and makes the play. It's a statement sweep for Kansas.
Rory is a rare repeat winner at Augusta.
Good Monday morning, everybody. We are back and rolling on the Morning Blitz on this April the 13th, a lovely feeling spring morning out there with temperatures, sitting out, just a nice, crisp, cool morning. I like these type of mornings. 54 currently the temperature outside the KLOE studios here in Goodland and Glossat. Just glad you've decided to join us here on this Monday edition of the Morning Blitz. We've got plenty to get to here on today's show. We'll get to weekend winners and losers in a little bit, coming up in just a matter of moments. Shreyas Laddha, our good friend from the KC Star, will be joining the program, talking a little Kansas basketball transfer portal news. We'll also touch a little bit on spring football, get a little spring football update for what's happened with Lance Leipold and his Jayhawk football team. He'll be coming up once again. That's Shreyas Laddha in our second segment of the day. And a typical Monday show means we'll wrap it up with some leftovers, things we didn't get to in our first segment. Everyone had a great weekend. Kind of it's an underrated good sports weekend. You had the Frozen Four National Championship. The Masters, of course, was on. And then for people like me who really enjoy college baseball, it was a great weekend for it. There were some really good games. And got to watch a decent amount of it. So otherwise, a really sneaky good sports weekend. But once again, glad that you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. We've got lots to get to here on today's show. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it here on a Monday program. FB Bank text line is kind of operational. That's what I'm going to put it. Kind of operational. It's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. FB Bank text line is having some issues, but we'll try to power through. I think we're getting some text, but not all. So we'll try to power through. Hit us up with your thoughts and comments, your weekend winners and losers throughout the program if you would like. But let's get cracking. We've got weekend winners and losers on this Monday.
There are two kinds of people in this world.
There's winners and there's losers.
Which ones were which this past weekend?
I want winners.
Loser? You're a loser.
It's the weekend's winners and losers on the Morning Blitz.
You want to be a winner, be a winner.
All right, rolling along here on a Monday morning with our weekend winners and losers. Like I said, get yours in there. Or, of course, you can also hit us up on YouTube, Facebook, and X on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. That chat line is open if you would like to put your thoughts in for that. But let's get rolling with our weekend winners here on this Monday morning. I'm going to start with maybe a winner that most people probably aren't paying attention to, but I think they probably should. And that would be Kansas baseball. The Kansas baseball team is in a really good spot. And by that, I mean coming off just a phenomenal week where they went 4-0 against ranked teams. They beat Nebraska on Tuesday at Nebraska 5-3, and then pushed that to a 3-game sweep of 12th-ranked UCF at Hoagland Park there in Lawrence over the weekend, winning 4-3-11 on Friday, 6-3 Saturday, and 3-1 on Sunday to get the sweep. They are playing some amazing baseball, is Kansas. They have actually now won 16 of their last 18 games. They are 26-10 on the season. and they sit atop of the Big 12 standings. That's right. Your Big 12 baseball leaders are the Kansas Jayhawks. They are just playing some unbelievable baseball right now with how well that they have been playing here over these last couple of weeks. And, it kind of started when you look back at the schedule. I feel like, they got off to a solid start, but, they dropped 2-3 to Texas Tech. But after that, it really got rolling because, they swept Houston. They split with Sac State. Then they beat Cincinnati, top 25 ranked Cincinnati team, 2 games to 2 out of 3. They sweep Utah, take care of Nebraska, and then UCF. And they got a chance to continue this. They've got Wichita State coming up here tomorrow, which is a team I think they can beat. They got Oklahoma State, who K-State just took 2 out of 3 from. They've got another game against Nebraska, and then they've got the Sunflower Showdown coming up here in the end of April. There's a great chance that Kansas could finish atop of the Big 12 standings in baseball this year, particularly with that win over UCF this past weekend. And not just a win, but a sweep of UCF, which I think is very impressive. But what a week it was for for Kansas baseball, and now just white hot sitting atop of the Big 12 standings and putting themselves in position once again to make a regional, to make the postseason. In fact, I think after this past week in that 26-10 record, I think you're going to see them in the top 25, maybe like number 25, possibly. They are right there stiffing around the top 25 as Kansas baseball. We talked about it last year around this time. Their coach, Dan Fitzgerald, does a great job of coaching that program. It was a great hire by Travis Goff, and they brought him in as from an assistant at LSU. He's been so good. He's got a couple of really good players that have been producing at high levels here over these last couple of weeks. And because of it, Kansas baseball are first winners of the weekend. Really playing some good ball over there in Lawrence. Second winner of the weekend, well, how could it not go to Mr. Rory McIlroy? Rory winning his second straight Masters, making him the 4th to ever do it, joining the lights of the great ones, Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo, and Tiger Woods. He is the 4th ever to win back-to-back green jackets. He gets it done with a great performance, 12 under par, and then holding off Scotty Scheffler, who had a great push on Sunday. He finished 11 under par. But Rory really did his work, it felt like, on Friday and on Saturday, where he pulled away. Friday and Saturday, where he pulled away. Friday was the big day, but he really pulled away. I mean, at the end of 2 rounds, he was sitting, I think, 4 to 6 strokes ahead of anybody else. And he had such a nice cushion, but he could just kind of go out there and play freely. Never really could push it any further of a lead. Give credit to guys like Cam Young, who came storming back and made things interesting for a while. Scotty Scheffler was hanging around there the entire time. Justin Rose had a chance, which I think there were a lot of people pulling for Justin Rose to try and maybe get his green jacket because he's been so close many times, kind of like Rory. But it was a good tournament. But Rory McIlroy stands at the top once again, gets his second consecutive green jacket. And it's a feel-good story to an extent. You think about Rory, he's kind of getting rewarded for standing up for the purity of golf, I feel like. When the Live Golf and the PGA Tour did this big standoff a couple of years ago, Rory was the front man for the PGA Tour. He was not one of the guys that said, well, I'm just going to go and play just 3 rounds of golf every couple of weeks and get paid multiple millions and millions of dollars for really not having to do anything, not even having to win. And he stood up there in front for the PGA and took all the lashing and all that stuff. And, his marriage was falling apart, and it was a really rough road for Rory, but he has battled through and has come out on the right, and has come out just even bigger and better than ever because he's being rewarded for kind of being that sacrificial lamb for a little bit there. He was able to save his marriage. His daughter and wife were there. His folks were there yesterday, which was a great scene because they didn't get to see him win his first Masters, but they get to see him win another one, which was really cool. And I don't know, it was a feel-good story. You feel good for Rory McIlroy for what he's done to try and save, or I don't want to save, but help the game of golf. And he's done it. And it kind of makes you quite, he's won the Grand Slam. He's now won 2 green jackets. I honestly didn't know what to expect going into the tournament. I kind of thought that he was maybe going to struggle a bit. He'd been dealing with some back issues, but that was not the case. He played great. And Scotty Scheffler really hadn't played in a tournament in a couple of weeks due to the fact that he had a newborn son, and he looked great. I was just impressed by it all. I really was. I was impressed by it all. Watching that yesterday. But Rory McIlroy, 12 under par, wins his second straight Masters, and he becoming the fourth ever to win consecutive back-to-backs with, once again, Jack Nicklaus, Dick Faldo, and Tiger Woods, and now Rory McIlroy. That's a heck of a list right there for sure. But Rory McIlroy, a winner of the weekend. My final winner of the weekend, mentioned this a little bit in the opening segment, had a highlight in there. Well, shout out to DU Hockey, the Pios, or the Pioneers of Denver University, their hockey team, winning the Frozen Four on Saturday afternoon, winning their third title in the last 5 years. And I think their 11th championship overall for DU Hockey. And did it in a very come-from-behind fashion. DU was actually down 1-0 after the first period. Did not score it. No one scored in the second period. And then in the third period, here comes DU scoring 2 consecutive goals to Wisconsin's 0. And it's DU that ends up winning the hockey championship. Once again, their third in the last 5 years. It's been a great run. I remember going to a DU hockey game. Oh, gosh, it was now been a while ago. I can't even remember. I mean, it's definitely been way before kids. So it's been, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, went to a DU hockey game. And I remember seeing their coach, DU coach, Coach Carl. He still looks young. And I think he's 30. I think he's my age. I think he's like 36, 37. Pretty young guy, but when I think he was coaching, he was 28. I mean, he was just this super young guy that was leading the program. And he continues to, he was a guy that was an assistant coach there at DU and has come up and now is there. Coach Carl's just done an amazing job with that program, and to win 3 titles in the last 5 years is really impressive. And once again, to do it in the come from behind fashion, they don't play a real sexy style of hockey, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't call it super sexy. They kind of are built more on defense. They're not exactly the most offensively inclined. It felt like watching them play in all of their games that the opposition was way more aggressive on the offensive end, but DU took it, just made other teams work so hard on the other end that they were able to get some goals, it seemed like, at times. And it's like they play defensive basketball, but it's like defensive hockey first. And they have a freshman goaltender who was fantastic. Hicks was his name. He was fantastic all throughout the tournament. He has yet to actually lose a game yet. I think he's now 15-0-1. Been an impressive running for Hicks, their goaltender. But it was a lot of fun to watch DU hockey over this Frozen Four to get it done. And, big shout out to them and their training staff too. I mean, they played a double overtime game against Michigan and were able to pull that thing out, and then had way lesser rest than Wisconsin did. But it did not seem to matter as DU gets the win, and once again, their third championship in the last 5 years. So DU hockey joining my winners of Kansas baseball and Rory McIlroy. Jared, it's a rope-a-dope style of hockey. Okay, rope-a-dope. Whatever you want to call it, Jared. You would know more about hockey than I would, so we'll call it that. But it was an impressive showing from DU this past weekend there at the Frozen Four. Really, really good. It was in Vegas too, which I don't know. Everything's going to Vegas now. I don't know if it's not saying I don't like it. It's okay. I just feel like those they should be held in like Boston or Michigan or Minnesota. It shouldn't be held south of the Mason-Dixon line. It should all be north. That's where all the hockey championships should be held, in my opinion. Should never be held south of the Mason-Dixon line. But it doesn't matter. DU hockey wins no matter where it is hosted at. So there you go. Those are my winners of the weekend. Let's transition into losers of the weekend here. Losers, going to start off with a tough weekend for the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies had gone into this previous weekend feeling pretty good. They'd won a couple series, got a really nice win over the Astros, feeling really good about themselves. Had to go down to San Diego, and it was not a good weekend. It wasn't the fact that the Rockies didn't win. They got swept by San Diego in a 4-game series, but it wasn't like it was too competitive for Colorado. They ended up losing all 4 of those games by at least 3 runs or more. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some closer games than what the final score said. Like game number 1 on Thursday night, that was a walk-off grand slam that you had a walk-off grand slam there. I think it was by Xander Bogaerts for San Diego. And then just the rest of the weekend, Colorado just could not get up. Now, don't get me wrong. San Diego's got really good players. It's a tough place to play. But the Rockies, who had a lot of good momentum, could not just keep that momentum going when a sweep down at San Diego. And the Royals, honestly, weren't a whole lot better. They were taking on the White Sox. I know the White Sox are improved, but they haven't been that great for a long time. And the Royals really struggled. They struggled just to find any sort of offense. There were plenty of games over the course of this weekend where the Royals offense struggled. They did lose 6-5 in the series finale, but they were shut out 2-0 on Thursday, then won just 2-0 games over the White Sox, and then 6-5 the result on Sunday to get a split with Chicago. This pitching staff for Kansas City just continues to be so impressive to me. I mean, look at the minuscule numbers that they are putting up. When you look at their pitching, it's just been unbelievable. I was going to look up what team ERA is. It's got to be pretty small. I mean, so far this year, team ERA 3.90 for the Kansas City Royals. I mean, they do not allow any runs. It's amazing to watch. They do not allow any runs. Yet games are still close because their offense is still struggling to find their way. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. did get a little bit going this weekend. But man, like guys like Vinny Pasquantino, who was great in the World Baseball Classic, has not found anything here as of late. Carter Jensen, Rip Van Winkle, as I like to call him, although he's kind of busting out of that. He's been really good, really hammering the baseball here the last couple of games. But yeah, Royals was getting a split with the White Sox. Better than what the Rockies had this weekend as they were swept down at San Diego, once again losing all 4 games by 3 or more runs. My first loser of the weekend. All right, a couple of random losers here on weekend winners and losers in the losers segment. I'm going to give a loser to the Big Ten Conference as well as their Fox/BTN, who owns the Big Ten Network. So something that was great this weekend, I mentioned a little bit in the open, was that there was a lot of great college baseball on this weekend. And there is nobody that does anything better. There's no one who does college baseball good when it comes to media coverage, in particular television coverage, than ESPN. ESPN does an amazing job of covering the diamond sports, whether it be softball or baseball. They do an unbelievable job. They have a true television crew out there. They have a true, they have multiple camera setups. It's a true, really good broadcast. They've got great broadcasters out there, whether it be like Mike Hart and Kyle Peterson, and they do an unbelievable job. And all weekend, whether it was on, and then they put them on good, they put them on the sports, the SEC network, ACC network, ESPNU, ESPN2, sometimes on regular ESPN. They fill those spots with those series. And there were some great series this weekend across the SEC. I mean, late on Thursday night, I was talking about this. I was watching Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. That was a good series this weekend. Texas A&M was an unbelievable series that was cut short due to unbelievable amounts of moisture that was falling down there in College Station. Still a great scene and a great series. Ole Miss LSU was another. It was a top 25 matchup between those two teams. There were a lot of Florida, Georgia. There were tons of games on this weekend in the SEC and the ACC. I saw they had Boston College, Virginia Tech at Fenway going on. And there was a Florida State, Georgia Tech this weekend too that was on. But there were some great games that were being broadcast by ESPN and with professional crews. That's once again, I mean that by it was not just some streaming thing. This was on television with grid broadcaster, with professional broadcasters and professional camera work. And it felt like a really good broadcast. ESPN does a great job. The Big Ten Conference and Fox and BTN, however you want to mix them all together, they're all kind of tied together. They televised, I think, one game this weekend. It was Indiana, Maryland. Now, don't get me wrong. It ended up being good. I think it was a walk-off grand slam, I think, for Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. But the Big Ten Conference is the most powerful conference in the country right now. It is. It's surpassed the SEC. It makes more money than the SEC, and now it has the wins to back it up with championships. Once again, 3 consecutive years in football, Of course, the championship goes to the Big Ten in men's basketball and women's basketball. They're sitting high atop the perch right now when it comes to conference power rankings. The Big Ten is sitting at the top, but they do not treat their other sports like it. You've got softball and baseball who have some really big-time matchups this weekend, and they were not televised. They were only on their streaming service, which is fine. It's great for the small-time stuff, but they need to start making a bigger deal about their secondary sports, kind of like what the SEC does. That's the next step in their progression. They got to make a bigger deal about baseball. They have the number one team in the nation in the Big Ten in UCLA. USC is a top 25 team. Nebraska's, well, might not be a top 25 team, still could be. Oregon's a top 25 team. But it was Nebraska and Oregon this weekend out in Eugene, and it was on the streaming service, and they did a fine job, but that was a big-time series, and it played like it too, by the way. Played like a big-time series, and it should have been televised. You've got plenty of channels, Fox. You've got FS1. You've got FS2. You've got BTN. You can find something to put those on other than just a streaming deal. You can go out and get a big-time crew out there. You got plenty of money. To me, it just was so dumb that they did not have a great crew to cover that series. And it was a really, really good series, Nebraska and Oregon in particular. Oregon ended up winning 2 out of 3, but all 3 games were decided by 3 runs or less, and 2 games decided by 1 run. It was really, really good. Had some great drama in that series. Oregon took 2 out of 3, but man, thumbs down to the Big Ten Conference. I was just not impressed. I knew going in, you knew going into the season that they do not cover a lot of baseball or softball, but they need to, because their conference is getting better in baseball and softball, and they need to have better broadcasts for it to make it feel bigger, like the SEC, where it does feel really big with Big Ten baseball, with SEC baseball and softball. It feels huge watching it on their screens. And then my final loser of the weekend, we turn to the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Got a short video here. It may happen to see what happened to Sergio Garcia at the Masters yesterday. This was not great from old Sergio, for being completely honest. But Sergio was on a hole on Sunday and was teeing off and hit it off to the right. It didn't go where he wanted to. It rolled into the bunker, and Sergio lost his cool. He spiked his club into the ground there on the tee box, ripping up some turf, and then he went and then swung the club at like a little bench area and broke the driver head off of his club. He was very upset about the whole ordeal. But here's the thing. Sergio, you've already won a green jacket in your career. You already have a green jacket in your closet. You don't need to be losing your cool over this whole ordeal. It's so what? You're not playing your best golf. This is the Masters. This is where you need to be, as professional as you can be. Everything is on point at the Masters. No cell phones and all kinds of things like that. And you're out there making a fool out of yourself, spiking your club into the ground, which you're destroying the ground that other people are teeing off from. Just an absolute tantrum. And then it was kind of funny. He was carrying John Rahm's bag for him, as Rahm was, I think, working on, or carrying John Rahm's bag for his caddy, who was working, I think, something in the bunker. It was something funny to see there at the end. But you can't, of all the tournaments where you can't lash out, you can't do it in the Masters. It's way too classy of environment to have a temper tantrum like Sergio did. I'm sure he'll get talked to about, or have already been. But yeah, not a good look for Sergio Garcia. And I don't know why you stress, man. You've already got one of these things. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Maybe he's got some gambling debt or something he's got to get taken care of. I don't know. There you go. Weekend losers. Once again, Colorado Rockies, the Big Ten Conference, and their television partners, Fox and BTN, as well as Sergio Garcia, losers of the weekend. And that is weekend winners and losers here on this Monday. All right, that'll do it for the segment number 1 here on this Monday edition of The Blitz. We'll take a break. When we return, we will be joined by Shreyas Laddha, our good friend from the Kansas City Star, talking a little Kansas athletics, including spring football and Big 12, or I should say Kansas basketball portal news, which there was some big news yesterday. We're reciting around one of their best players from this past season. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
Got your tax refund? Don't blow it. Upgrade it at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Get into a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $7,000 in rebates or 2.9% for 48 months. Or into a 26 GMC Sierra 2500 $1,000 rebate or 4.9% for 48 months. And the 26 GMC Acadia 2.9% APR plus $750 in rebates with GM Financial. Your refund won't last, but a new GMC will. Stop by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or visit hurlchev.com.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with Skyland Grain. Today is Monday, April 13th. Grain stronger on the overnights as Maghorn traded higher in the overnight session, 2 3/4 at 443.5. July up 3 at 453 3/4. September up 2 3/4 at 458.5. December corn up 2 1/4 at 474. May soybeans up 1/4 at 11 at 74 3/4. July down a half cent at 11.89 1/4. August up a cent at 11.82 1/4. September up 3 at 11.59.5. Kansas City wheat, the May contract higher 13.5 at 604 1/4. July up 12.5 at 617.5. September up 11 3/4 at 630. December hard wheat up 11 cents at 648 3/4. Chicago wheat, the May contract higher 11.5 at 581.5. July up 11 at 590.5. September up 10.5 at 602 1/4. December soft wheat up 10 3/4 at 620 3/4. On the equity side of things today, the Dow lower $459 at 47,690. The S&P down 32 at 6,822. The Nasdaq down 112 at 25,169. Gold lower $41 an ounce at 4,746. Crude oil up $7.12 a barrel at $103.69. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484. Our Kansas City office, you can call Tyler Dosh, Tom Saludo, or Jared Law at 913-748-3000. Or our Ulysses office, Cindy Warner, Austin Wright, or myself, Kate Thompson, at 602-356-7800.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Whether you're digging a pond, clearing brush, grading land, or doing demo, Foley Equipment, your local Caterpillar dealer, is your one-stop shop. Buy or rent, Foley Equipment has the machines you need to get the job done. And right now, Foley Equipment has 0% financing with approved credit on new cat skid steers, mini excavators, and compact.
Right. With over 34,000 five-star reviews and 50 years as a local family-owned company, Thrasher is a name homeowners trust. Schedule your free home inspection today at gothrasher.com.
Thrasher.
Missed the weekend action?
Yes, you caught me.
No worries. We've got all the highlights and lowlights covered.
Hey, okay, well, catch me up.
This is the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Unfortunately, our FB Bank text line's still not working this morning. I'll have to do some more research on this, I guess. I thought maybe it was just like a glitch from Friday, but apparently it's extended through the weekend. So we will have an edition of Dear Ross, though, coming up in our third segment. We did get a text in on that here. So we welcome into the program our good friend waiting patiently on the Hoover Lumber Hardware hotline. He joins us. That would be our good friend Shreyas Latta. Good morning, Shreyas. How are we doing today, my friend? How was the weekend?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Jay, busy time for you over there at the KC Star, right? And lots of things going on.
Yeah, it's been chaotic, but also a lot of just trying to keep up with what's happening in the portal, who KU's interested in. A lot of waking up at 7 a.m., texting sources. Fun, but busy.
I got to ask, how do you go about getting your sources, and how do you know you've got good sources versus bad sources when you're kind of doing this job?
Well, in this sense, you build it up over the years. For me, now I've been on the beat for about 3.5 years and about 4 seasons of college basketball. I've built some sources within the KU program that I trust. There's some sources outside of the KU program, a lot of scouts, etc., and NBA scouts, and then a few in between, that are there at different, basketball programs. So there's certain level of trust with certain sources because I've had dealings with them in the past and gotten stuff. And then there's some level of like trust but verify. And other times, agents are also in play. So you have to be careful just because you have to sometimes remember that, what they say might not be accurate in a day or two. A good example of that is Guy Ames was supposed to visit Kansas this Monday. Reported it, and about 24 hours later, he ended up signing with Tennessee. I wasn't the only one. John Robson, and there was plenty others. But things change so rapidly in the transfer portal that you have to be so careful in reporting things, but also like remembering, like, yes, you might have been told X information right now. Things can change 5 hours or even a day later.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely can change in the blink of an eye. Shreyas Latta is our guest from the Kansas City Star. He covers, he's the KU beat reporter covering Kansas basketball and football. Yeah, let's stay in this portal news. There's huge news yesterday for Kansas basketball. The big man, Flory Badunga, is going to go to Louisville. What's been your thoughts on this whole saga with Flory, particularly going back to last year where he got in the portal, he came back, he was developed really well, became Big 12 Player of the Year, and now is taking his talents over there to the KFC Yum Center. What's your thoughts on the whole Flory Badunga saga?
Well, I think with Flory, I wasn't particularly surprised he was leaving. I had some inkling just from knowing him in his camp, really knowing his camp more so than anything. When they entered the portal, my communication with camp kind of died, to be honest with you. But candidly, I always felt like if he was entering the portal this year, there was a real possibility of him leaving compared to last year where, I always felt like he was coming back and he was just kind of shopping himself around. And I think, Louisville did a great job of making sure he didn't leave the building and go to the visit to Duke because I know that was planned. I had heard from a few different sources outside of program that Flory was paid upwards of $5 million this coming year with Louisville. So Kansas was not going to match that. They didn't have the budget for it, especially when they're chasing Tyron Stokes. I think, there is sentiment the staff wanted him back, but obviously it's hard to do that when, you have to build a roster out there and, one guy's getting paid $5, $6, even more than that $1 million. And you have to also pay another guy that will probably be similar to that if Tyron Stokes comes to Kansas. So I think, this gives him an opportunity to kind of be more of a first option in the Louisville offense. I think the money is more than he would make as a second-round pick in the NBA. And that's what scouts have told me. He's consistently early to mid-second rounder. So not super surprised. Obviously, it's just kind of a symptom of the times for better or worse. And I guess Kansas fans should be happy it's Louisville, not Duke.
Shreyas Latta, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. When you look at the Flory scenario from Bill Self's perspective, I mean, I'm sure it probably wasn't a shock to Bill, but how frustrating can it be, the fact that you really brought him back and he developed really well this second year, and he's now going to continue his career someplace else? I mean, how frustrating is that for Bill Self to not have that? Or is Bill just kind of like, you know what, I've got a great crew of good kids coming in, we're going to find another way to win?
Well, I'm sure it's difficult, right? Like, it sucks that it happens, but I have an inkling that Bill and the staff probably knows about stuff way before we do, right? So I think he's probably made his peace with it. He understands it. He gets it. And there's probably stuff happening behind the scenes that we don't even know or not privy to. So, candidly, I think he's just used to it at this point. But this is probably the biggest loss KU's had in the transfer portal in my years covering the beat. And it's a big loss for KU. I mean, obviously, money aside for what Florida's legend making at Louisville. But, you know, Warrior, when he played basketball, was a great basketball player. Yes, he had some flaws. Yes, he was a little undersized. But, you know, whoever they fill him in with or, you know, get to replace, I think it'll be tough to expect them to be as good as Floyd was. Maybe they're better at certain things that Kansas needs them to be better at, but you know, it's a tough loss for Kansas, and I know Kansas fans wanted to downplay it a little bit, but you know, Floyd was an all Big 12 player, defensive player of the year in the Big 12. He was a guy that, you know, allowed their defense to do a lot of things they wouldn't be able to do with some other centers. So you know, obviously I wish him well. Always fun covering him and et cetera. But yeah, I have an inkling that Bill just kind of understands that this is the system of the times.
Once again, Trey Slaughter joining us from the Kansas City Star. We're talking the transfer portal and the news that Florida Badunga has left Kansas, and he is now going to go play next year at Louisville for reportedly, apparently around $5 million. Shreyas, what's on the portal docket for Kansas now? What are they looking at? Who are they going to have come in? And what are your thoughts on some of these guys that they're sniffing around on?
Yeah, they have a lot of guys they're looking at. I mean, I know they're trying to they're supposed to bring in Terrence Brown Jr. from Utah on a visit this week. They've been linked to a few other guys. You know, they're supposed to have Deshaun Good and Terrence Hill Jr. come in today. Supposedly, I asked around about that. I couldn't quite verify they're coming in today, but I knew that I was told they were on the board for Kansas. So those are some of the guys. But I mean, it's just rapidly changing, right? Guys entering the portal, leaving the portal. You know, I expect Kansas to probably have or two in the next few days. I presume that's what I was told was, you know, I think Kansas fans are panicking right now or whatever, but there's no internal panic within the staff after asking around. I think they're confident in the way they build the roster. I was told from a few different people when I asked, the word instant gratification is used right now. And there's no belief that needs to be done. Like, you know, it's going to take some time to build this roster. And yeah, they have a lot of spots, even with if potentially Paul Mbia stays or goes or whatever. I mean, they have 8 roster spots to fill in if Paul stays. If he goes, 9 roster spots. So it should be interesting the next few days.
What about the recruiting for Kansas basketball? It seems like it's been pretty darn good. I mean, what kind of impact do you think this incoming freshman class is going to make? Is it going to be a really big one?
Well, I mean, I think Taylor Kinney will be immediate starter. The rest of the guys right now, at least, it's hard to project. I think some of them will be rotation guys. Some of the guys probably won't touch, you know, the court too much. The biggest white whale for them out there is Tyron Stokes, of course, the number 1 overall recruit in the class. He's down at Kansas, Kentucky. We still have no idea where he stands. I know he's visiting Kentucky today. I was told Kansas is not super worried about that from kind of asking around. But things change so rapidly. His recruitment's been ongoing for months now. There's been times where I thought he was going to start, you know, sign with Kansas. There have been times that I was told he was going to sign with Kentucky. At this point, I've decided to stop, you know, looking at the matter too hard and just wait for him to make a decision and just ask around, you know, if there's Warrior or whatever when he made that decision to go to the Kentucky visit. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a big blue whale, and you know, it's a pretty good recruiting class coming in. I think there's, you know, it's hard for me to project, besides Kinney, who's going to be the real contributor. I think there'll be some level of 1 or 2 guys that'll be rotation guys, but yeah, Tyron Stokes is the one that everyone wants.
Let's transition into football, Shreyas. You know, spring football is going on quietly behind the scenes. What are some of the top storylines that you're following when it comes to Lance Leipold in this edition of spring football for the Jayhawks?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's, you know, Lance is pretty happy with the way things are going in spring. He likes the way the adjustments have made from a very new and transfer-heavy team. The biggest storyline, of course, is who's going to win the quarterback battle, and it's between Isaiah Marshall and Cole Ballard, really, for the job. And these are 2, you know, returnees from last few years. You know, I think that battle is going to come down to consistency. I think I've been told that there's not been a lot of separation between those 2. At the moment. There's days that Isaiah Marshall looks better. There are days that Cole Ballard looks better. You know, I think there's excitement that they will figure it out with Andy Kotelnicki. If it isn't at the ceiling of what Jalen Daniels has to offer, or maybe the floor, really. But I think, you know, there's excitement around the team that look pretty good overall. The biggest question mark is who wins the quarterback battle, and I'm intrigued to see what happens with that as well.
You mentioned it, the new offensive new/old returning offensive coordinator Andy Koltanecki's back in Lawrence. What kind of impact do you think he'll have here in his second stint with the OC there at KU?
I definitely think it's going to be humongous, right? He comes in off of 2 years at Penn State, and they heavily featured tight ends. I expect tight ends to be heavily featured again in the Gibbs offense. Not that they weren't last year, but probably even more so with Andy. I think he'll make it really creative. The offense will probably have a lot of things that we didn't necessarily see last year. Andy does a fantastic job of getting receivers / tight ends open. So I think we could see some creative ways for wide receivers and tight ends to get open. So I expect the offense to look better than expected, even with a new quarterback at helm. And I think a lot of that is going to be due to how good Andy is as a play caller, but also how creative he is overall.
He, once again, is Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star, KU beat reporter. Shreyas, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate the insight and the expertise, my friend. We'll catch up again soon. Have a good week.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Once again, great stuff there from Shreyas Laddha here on the Morning Blitz. Once again, a busy time for him covering the transfer portal and also spring football happening for Kansas. Just a quick update for Kansas fans. Of course, Flory Badunga is in the portal. He's gone. They lost a lot of guys due to graduation, moving on to the NBA. There is Terrence Hill Jr. out of VCU has locked in a visit to come visit with Kansas. So a guard from VCU, not TCU, VCU. And they're also in connection, I think, today with a freshman who averaged 16 points per game in Jake Hall. So that's who kind of Kansas is sniffing around at in the portal at this point in time. And then just a quick update for K-State. They've kind of had a semi-behind-the-scenes busy week. Last week, they added a couple of pieces. Brandon, I think it's Recksteiner, who was at Colorado State this last year. Versatile perimeter shooter, hit 40% of his threes. And then Desdrick Lindsey from Oregon, a guy who came off the bench, a little bit of size and depth at the wing, is coming to Kansas State. So they had a couple pieces in the portal. Did Casey Alexander in his first portal class for Kansas State. All right, let's get to a break. When we return, we are going to get to the leftovers. We'll have another edition of Dear Ross as well and wrap up a Monday show here on the Blitz.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Got your tax refund? Don't blow it. Upgrade it at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Get into a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $7,000 in rebates or 2.9% for 48 months. Or into a 26 GMC Sierra 2500 $1,000 rebate or 4.9% for 48 months. And the 26 GMC Acadia 2.9% APR plus $750 in rebates with GM Financial. Your refund won't last, but a new GMC will. Stop by Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or visit hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Sports talk that's fast, fresh, and always on point.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, just a couple minutes left to go here on a Monday show. Of course, don't forget, programming note, Friday, this coming Friday, April 17th, there will not be a show here on the Morning Blitz because we'll be having our 2026 edition of the NWKS Radio Auction. Once again, folks, you're going to want to be listening in for that. All kinds of great services, items, gift cards, ag products. You can find it all on our NWKS Radio Auction. Furniture. You're going to want to make sure that you go check out nwksradio.net right now. That's our website. Find all the stuff that you might want to bid on. Great deals. I mean, stuff that could be going for 70% off. You could possibly get a great deal on to help out your own personal life, your farming, your agriculture needs, just for fun. All kinds of great things. A trip, all kinds of fun things. Go find them at nwksradio.net. And of course, no show Friday because the radio auction will be taking place during show time. All right, we got another edition here of Dear Ross. Let's get to that. All right, as we go to a Dear Ross here, with the Denver Broncos ownership group now owning 40% minority stake of the Rockies, and a new article coming out saying the Montfort brothers are at odds with one brother wanting out of baseball altogether, do you see a scenario where the Walton Walmart Group eventually gains majority ownership of the Rockies? If so, when? P.S. How about those Denver Pios? Yes, 11 national championships. Very cool. Yes, I think we will see this happen. I just don't know if it's going to happen anytime too soon. I can't see backing out of a scenario where you're making hand over fist and you're not having to throw any money in it. I mean, or minuscule money in it. It just seems like, well, you're only throwing a few pennies in, but you're making multiple dollars back every time on your investments on the Rockies. I could just see where you buy out one and you keep the majority stake for a while. Now, down the road, because I think the Walter Pennon Walmart Group is going to be around for a long time in Denver sports. So, yes, I do think over the course of time, they are going to become the majority stake owners. The news came out this past week that they were going to take, 40%, I think, of the Rockies ownership now. But I still think that you're going to see the Montforts hold on to it, the majority stake for some time. A majority stake for some time. We'll be interested to see how much the minority owners have a say and saying, well, we want to have more of a winning product, and we're willing to fork out more cash for it. I'm kind of curious to see if that's the case, possibly going forth with Rocky. But I don't think, even though one brother may step away, how would you turn down that investment deal where you're once again throwing pennies at a product, but you're still making hand over fist based upon what you get in ticket sales and everything else coming back towards you if you're the Rockies? That's my opinion. Thank you for another edition of Dear Ross. All right, let's get to the leftovers here. Wrapping up the program in local sports this past weekend, Colby Community College softball had one game. It was supposed to be a doubleheader against Pratt. They only got one game in due to weather that altered the schedule. They defeated Pratt 7-5 on Saturday. They'll have to play that game 2 later this month. Colby now 23-16 overall, 15-4 in conference play, good enough for second place in the standings. They have a ranked game here today against McCook. They split with McCook last week. They have a doubleheader at McCook today against the 20th ranked Lady Indians of McCook Community College. Colby High School softball on Friday last week earned a split with Garden City, a real nice 7-6 game 1 victory, taking advantage of 7 Garden City errors. But Colby lost game 2 16-8. Colby struggled with the error bug. They had 6 in that one, but Lady Eagles 7-3 on the season. Goodland Cowgirls softball in action today. They are on the road in Hayes, taking on Hayes TMP for a doubleheader, and we will have coverage of that series here on Rocket 102.5 KLE. In fact, we hit the road in a couple of, 2.5 hours. We'll be on the road there to Hayes to bring you coverage of Goodland and TMP right here on KLOE. How about that little rhyme? Colby Community College baseball was split with Pratt this past weekend. They lost game 3 of the series, 3-2. They win game 4, 13-12. How about all 4 games decided by a single run? That was quite a battle there between the Trojans and the Beavers these past couple of days. Colby now 14-27 overall, 7-17 in the Jayhawk. And real quick track update. The Hoxie Invitational, Hoxie girls, the defending state champs, in their classification, they won convincingly over the Quinter girls and the rest of the field. Quinter boys did come in second to Plainville in the boys standings at the Hoxie Invitational this past week. So there you go. Just some quick things to hit up in the leftovers. On to the walk-off. Maybe. Oh, don't do. Thank you very much. Into the walk-off.
And Matt lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Gray? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Did anybody happen to see what happened in the Masters with Hao Tong Lee? So Hao Tong Lee ended up finishing 1 over. But this was a guy going into Sunday that was in the mix to win it. He had a horrific, and I do mean horrific, showing on Sunday, did Hao Tong Lee. Honestly, I almost could not believe what I was witnessing watching it this weekend. I really struggled it. Hao Tong Lee had just a terrible round number 4. I don't even know how to put it. He had an 80. He shot an 80 on and tied for 38. He shot an 80 on Sunday. There was a few shots where on number 10, he's like way off in the bushes, like way back. And you see him swinging and the ball don't even go anywhere. I mean, it was bad. He hit it long. He put it into the creek. And then it was, when you have a 10 on a hole, you know you're having a bad day. Hao Tong Lee, once again, was in the hunt to win the green jacket. He was in the top 5. And because of a horrible 80 on Sunday, he ends up only winning $100,000 or $101,000 instead of maybe possibly in the $1 million range. Tough showing there from Hao Tong Lee. But it was just funny to see these shots and these images of him out in the trees. I mean, literally out in the trees and the bushes trying to hit a ball. It made me feel better about my golf game for sure. And probably everybody else as well. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks again for listening to the Morning Blitz. Don't forget to catch Goodland Cowgirl softball later on today right here on AM 730 KLOE. Back tomorrow in 23 hours. We'll talk to you for a Tuesday edition of the Blitz. Have a good one.
Rocket. What a